Okay, so I thought I'd just make a quick video and show you what I have here in the puppy room. Got the mama, that's the number one thing. So here's my warming box. Just a plastic tote with a lid, which is nice if you're going to the vet and it's breezy with newborn babies getting tails docked and everything. You got to keep them warm. I don't worry. I mean, I don't poke holes in it or anything. I just kind of leave the lid partially open, just kind of a crack, and that way they still get plenty of air. It's a big box, so there's plenty of air in there for them. You want something nice and absorbent on the bottom. This is like a flannel blanket, and here is a very old heating pad. My mom had this when I was a kid growing up, and somehow I acquired it, and it's really nice because it stays on. A lot of your newer heating pads have a safety feature and they kick off. So I'm not really sure how to find one. I'm hoping this one never dies because it's perfect. It still works and it stays on. It doesn't kick off, and there's 3 heat settings. So I just have, you don't want this super thick. You want them to be able to feel the warmth underneath. And again, it only covers about half the box. It's a small one. In the warmer weather, it's okay. The puppies snuggle and stay warm with each other, but in the winter especially, this is nice to have. Warming box, and I'm going to show you my little puppy birthing kit, and I may even remember some things that I have forgotten. So I've got paper towels. One thing I like to have is a lot of old towels because the birth is incredibly messy. There's lots of fluids and liquids, and you'll be washing clothes while you're finishing up birthing the last puppies. So lots of towels. Lots of smaller hand towels for rubbing down puppies. This is just a little flannel blanket I threw in there. It's so light. When the birth, you'll see a lot of green discharge. Green is normal. Red before the first puppy is not normal. So if you see red before the first puppy, then you've probably got a deceased puppy in there, and you will need vet intervention right away. But green is perfectly normal. And often you don't even see discharge before the first puppy comes out. This is my package of puppy collars. I'll show you those in a minute. And then here's a little medical kit. I've got iodine. This is for, I don't know, I don't often need it, but it's here in case I do. If you have to assist with cutting umbilical cords, you might want to dab a little bit of that on there, or if they're getting an infected tail from docking, hopefully not, rarely happens. Here are some little clamps. These are excellent. You can clamp them together when you're cutting umbilical cords. So usually mom does it, and she does a pretty good job with her teeth. Some moms get a little overly aggressive with it and pull. That's not good. I've had some bad experiences with one of my females would she was a super aggressive birther. She'd pop those puppies out so fast, and then she'd be yanking on the cords, and it was pretty bad. But if you need to cut a cord, clamp it down, and then, I'm not sure I got my scissors. Oh, here they are. So I have little fingernail scissors in here. They're really cheap. They're not very sharp, and that's actually a good thing with cords, because if you make a real clean slice through the umbilical cord, it could bleed. So that's why clamping it first and then kind of gnawing on it with these imitates the mother chewing them off. Which shuts off the blood flow. Anyway, there's that. I've got some cotton balls and Q-tips in case I need it. Tweezers. I don't know what you might need these for. I just stuck them in my kit. thermometer in case one of them is sick, or if you're temp checking mom, you can look up temp checking and watching for a temperature drop to know when labor is imminent. I don't often fool with that. I figure I'll know when it happens. And then these are some really cute little nail trimmers for the puppies. You want to keep their nails short so they don't scratch up mom, and it encourages her to want to keep nursing them. And then I showed you this already. It got here, yay! And then I've got a little bulb syringe for clearing nasal passages. So when a puppy comes out, usually mom will be really into it and want to nuzzle the puppy around, licking it off, eat it. I find some of my moms get really, here I'll show you something nicer while I talk, but I find some of my moms are more interested in eating all the placentas than they are in cleaning off the puppies. So that's why it's important that you're there, clear the sac from the face, and then start rubbing them down and getting them. If you can get them to cry out, then you're going to have, they're going to be okay. If you notice they're limp and they're not moving and they're not crying, you can't hardly tell if they're breathing, start rubbing them down. I kind of hold them nose pointed down at an angle and rub, and you just want to try to get them to cry. If they won't do that, then they may have aspirated a little bit, and that's when you're going to want to use the bulb syringe, clear the air passages, and proceed to give puppy CPR. And in those books, the puppy intensive care book that I told you about, that will tell you how to do that. There's also videos on YouTube. I have had to do puppy CPR multiple times, and most of them I've been able to revive. I mean, even after several minutes, and you think for sure it's not going to turn out. It's just something. Oh, and you were saying about how you want everything to be okay and you're really nervous and worried. I promise you, those are normal feelings. I've had some rough experiences, and there's been multiple times that I've wanted to quit. I have lost puppies during the birth. To be a little bit gruesome, I was telling you about the one that pulled on the cords. We had one pull the intestines out the umbilical area, and that was just, it was horrific. My husband had to put it down because there's really nothing that you can do short of a massive surgery, which probably won't work out anyway. So it's hard. It's really heart-wrenching and hard when it just doesn't go according to the book. But keep your chin up. You got to realize that these dogs have large litters for a reason, and that nature usually often selects some to just not make it. When you think of litters out in the wild, you usually only see a mama wolf or fox with just a couple, 2 or 3, and that's because, I mean, they probably have as large litters as these dogs, but they just don't all make it. So we're human, and we want to intervene, and we want to help, and we want to make sure all of them make it. And of course, it's absolutely worth pulling out all the stops and doing everything that you can. Well, this is probably long enough for now. I can't think of anything I'm forgetting in my puppy med kit. But if I do think of anything, I'll send you a message. Oh, I'll show you the, okay, so a candle is nice because the birthing smell kind of gets to you after a while. So having a nice vanilla scented candle is really wonderful. I have a air purifier, not a necessity, but it is nice, and especially nice when after my puppies are about 4 weeks and up and walking around and they're starting to eat solid foods. That's when things get smelly and the poop starts to stink, and this room being right off my dining room, I can't handle the smell. So what we do is we put 2 or 3 inches, 3 or 4 inches of pine shavings. Those are not without risk, but to me the benefit outweighs the risk, because I don't want to smell puppies while I'm eating my dinner, and it wafts all throughout the house. So that really, it's been a lifesaver for us having the wood chips, and it keeps the puppies actually really clean and dry and smelling nice. Sometimes if you mix a little cedar in there, it just really makes things smell nice and fresh. And of course, changing those out, it gets expensive, but again, to me, it's worth the cost, and it's worth a little bit of risk. I did have a puppy once or twice eat a wood chip, and then it comes out their bottom and it makes them kind of sore, but I've never had a puppy like choke on one or anything. And they don't really chew on the wood chips. I've just had, I think, 2 puppies out of, and I've had a lot of puppies come through this box. So, probably well over 100 by now. I've been at this for years. So, anyway, so yeah, air purifier is nice when you have the dust of the wood chips in the air. And I'll tell you what I usually do, because these collars are a little bit big on some of the puppies at first, and they don't stay on. And I like to track their weights to make sure that they're growing and thriving. However, once you adjust these down to as small as they get, if some of the biggest puppies it'll work for, but some of the smaller puppies, it will be a little too big, and they'll slip off and fall off. And you don't want that. If you're tracking weights, you don't want a lot of the puppies look exactly like. You don't know which is which. So what I usually do is I take colored ribbon, and I had to throw all my ribbon away. It got messed up, but so colored ribbon, and then I just tie kind of loosely, make sure I can get a finger around the puppy's neck. Again, not without risk, but I helicopter over my puppies, and we watch carefully, and we check the ribbons all day long. And that's just long enough until you can have them in little collars like these. These are breakaway collars, which is nice. So sometimes they pop off, but they're a little bit safer than some of the collars. And I can give you a link for those. And then these I love for when they're bigger, and for sending them home is really nice. Sometimes I have to replace them because they like to chew on the ends. So if I want to send them home with their color, and I track them by their color and name them by their color and whatever. So yeah, these are years worth of the colors I didn't use. They weren't my favorite, but this time I'm using what I've got. So they come with little charts in them to track their weights. I don't usually use those. I usually just use an app on my phone. But anyway, that's it. Whelping mats you've already got. Mama, you've already got. And if you have any questions, you can message me at any time.